we also live in a country where there are no consequences, at least not for everybody. You said it yourself earlier that if you and I were to commit a crime, they pounce on us the next day. But there are some people, especially the Zuma clan. I mean, Zuma's kids played a big role as instigators. They put a lot of fuel into the fire that was happening in KZN, in Gauteng, but nothing has happened to them. I mean, look, if you look also, if I brought in this question, look at Duduzane Zuma, who was so much part of the Gupta Empire. He comes in and out of South Africa all the time, and we hear Shamil Batawi say, yeah, we're going to look at extraditing the Guptas, we're going to arrest them. But hello, their key business partner keeps coming in and out, flouting his wealth. Much of it can be argued to have been ill-gotten. But also, he's even claiming that he wants to be the next president of South Africa. Nothing is happening to him. Nothing is happening to the Gupta kids, to Duduzane, who was sending out all those tweets encouraging people to mayhem. Why?
So this is indicative.
Do they fear the Zumas?
No. This is indicative of a serious crisis of the criminal justice system and the National Prosecuting Authority. If anything, July has proven how broken the system is. That literally there are people who were caught looting stores and burning stores down, and they were left off because we just do not have that forensic capacity. We do not have that investigative capacity. We also don't have the political will, as you've seen. The underfunding of the National Prosecuting Authority, the years and years of decay, it's just a continuation of that. It's almost as if you were a Zuma lieutenant, you know the damage that was done to the criminal justice system, the constant underfunding, the decimation of capacity, etc., etc. So that's why you saw the brazenness in which things were done. Also, you have rogue elements within the criminal justice system, which, despite years and years and years of President Ramaphosa promising reform, you've not seen a cleanup, a substantial cleanup. What you've seen over the years is people like Shamila Batoyi being appointed into senior positions, but being incapable of mopping up the institutions that they lead. And as a result, what you have is promises of a cleanup and no real action. As a result, what you have then is an emboldenedness by people who were, part of the rogue state capture years, having their tentacles in the criminal justice system, in law enforcement, and taking full advantage of it. Because if you were at the center of it, and that's what makes this particular scenario of what happened in July last year very different. Someone asked me, do you believe that it was an insurrection? And I say, do you think that there is a word? What word could you describe part of a governing party who worked for the freedom of this country, using tactics that they used to against an oppressive apartheid regime to destabilize the parts of their own government that they run? I mean, it's quite completely bizarre. Completely bizarre. This was not an opposition party versus an incumbent government. This was not a rebel group. This was literally factions within the state, factions within the governing party. And so, how come Duduzane Zuma or Duduzile Zuma have not been arrested? The reality of it is there absolutely no capacity within the state for that to happen. The second thing is that it's another manifestation of putting the party, the ANC interests before the interest of the rule of law in this country. And so what you then have is that people opting to arrest low-level, loudmouths and under the guise of arresting insurrectionists. But the reality of it is that the ANC was responsible for what happened in July. Its structured movements, its leaders, its people who worked within the state in places like eThekwini and other places had a very, very big role. But more than that, What happens to the police commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal? What happens to the head of the crime intelligence, where there was actual failure? You've not seen any consequences in terms of you had a job to safeguard the people of South Africa, and there was no consequences. We literally just saw a small, tiny reshuffle of ministers, and that was all the consequences we received as the people, and 360 people died. So if you do not have an obvious kind of accountability of who should, you're saying, you literally, the president went out and said there was a failed attempted insurrection. That's a massive thing. That's aligned to treason. And what you have then is, a few loudmouths being arrested, one or two, violent looters arrested, and a lot of the cases sort of going nowhere. And it's going to take years for even those who have been arrested to be successfully prosecuted. And so as a result, there is a recipe, or there's a precedent set rather, that says you can do this, you can get away with this in South Africa, because South Africa's security apparatus, law enforcement, is completely decimated.
Yeah. But I mean, you're ascribing the inability to arrest or to go after the Zuma children as a problem of capacity in the criminal justice system. But sure, there's politics as well. I mean, why are they know them, they've seen the tweets by Duduzane. Why are they not at least calling them in to say, you can't do this? I don't know, charge them, because now the impression is being given that if you're Zuma, you're untouchable. It's not good for South Africa, surely.
Absolutely, but like I'm saying to you, is that the situation is so bad that there are literally people caught in the act themselves of committing crimes that just can get away with it. So there's almost a culture of impunity. And the second thing, it's a sense of like politics, like I said earlier, we can't sort of further poke the bear, and so they could get away with it, and you arresting one or two other people who were instigators on social media in an effort to kind of build this case. Like I said, it's symptomatic of the real crisis at hand in the national prosecution. You cannot look at the indifference to the instigation by the people that you've mentioned without realizing how it fits into the bigger picture of how broken the system actually is, and how we are at the mercy of politics, really.